Yeah, and something that you can actually do indoors and something off season, because this isn't really the gardening season, right, Lisa?
Yeah, it's a little early to put things in the ground quite yet,
But we have options indoors, and the hottest thing ever, the microgreens. We're seeing them everywhere in restaurants right now.
Totally. Yeah, and microgreens are a great option. Super quick turnaround. You're harvesting 14 days kind of thing, and they're super nutrient dense, maybe 4 to 6 times more than the average mature veggie.
Okay, so let's show people how they do it. We're talking about things like pea shoots. We're talking about cilantro, all those really fancy miniature things that you see on the restaurants. You know, you head out to those fancy restaurants, and this is what you're getting, right?
That's right. And you have kale, cilantro, radish, beets. So yeah, what I'm doing here is...
And you've got a cedar box here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Which
totally.
actually lasts really, really long for people.
That's right.
That want to do this.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more cost, you spend a little more in the beginning, but the lifespan is quite a bit more. So I add my drainage rock at the bottom. Oops. You might want to actually cover it, but for these purposes, it's okay to do it like that. And then I fill my little box with soil, and this is a special soil mixture for container growing. I spread it in, and then depending on what microgreen I want to grow, all I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some seeds on the surface of the soil as soon as I can open my pack. So these are some beet greens here. And then I can just scratch them into the surface.
It seems to me like if you had children, what a great way to get them involved and also get them excited about eating something that is so healthy for them.
Totally, yeah, and kids are a lot more likely to eat veggies that they grow. We found really good results working with kids.
So many great ideas from Victory Gardens. Joni Riaz, they also have a really great website that has some instructional videos on YouTube that you can check them out. Check out their website. We got lots more coming up throughout the morning. Exactly. Thanks very much. You know, and earlier we did container gardening inside, which means you could do that kind of any time of year. This is not really the gardening season.
No.
But we want to get people ready in case they had a resolution of growing their own food. What are some of the benefits of gardening cost-wise relative to maybe what people might buy in the grocery store?
Well, when you have a plant readily available in the garden, it keeps regenerating. Whereas if you go to the grocery store, you buy it once, it might perish in your refrigerator.
So as an example, something like kale that you buy once and you spend maybe a couple, $3, $4 on, you can plant kale and it keeps growing, and so really it becomes a very inexpensive way to eat some of your favorite foods. So now we're going to get people ready. Again, they're not gardening right now, but what do we have right here to sort of prepare them for gardening season?
So we have a couple of containers. They're both made of cedar. This one is factory made in Vancouver. It's a bit more of an economical version. This one's a handmade artisanal version.
And different depths. So what could we grow, for instance, in this depth? How deep is it and what could we grow?
This is a really good size for a patio. You can pretty much grow anything in it because it's a bit deeper than this one. You could grow broccoli, tomatoes, pretty much anything that you can grow in the garden.
And to get it ready, you would line it.
And you would line it with a bit of landscape fabric. We have some drainage rock, just same as you do indoors. You want to add about a 1 to 2 inch layer. This is heavy.
It is heavy. It's a very active thing, this gardening. It also keeps you in shape, right? So you get all your resolutions going.
Exactly, yeah. It's good for your physical activity. And so you just line the bottom, and then you would add your soil. And you want to add your soil as deep as possible, right up to the top.
Now, we know that a lot of people think of gardening specifically as, okay, we're going to plant seeds.
Yes.
But there are other options for people, too. What are the benefits of using a starter plant, which I guess is already sort of partially grown?
Yeah, I mean, hence the word starter. Yeah. You already get a head start. But it's really good for a new gardener to get a sense of spacing when you're planting as well. When you grow from seed, you have to do things like thin, and it takes a little bit more effort. Also with starters such as tomatoes, you can put them out when the weather permits so it's warm enough, whereas if you put a seed in the ground earlier, it's too cold.
So many great ideas. Thank you very much. More details on Victory Gardens. You can check out their website. Yeah, especially, you know, a lot of people, one of their resolutions might be to get their hands dirty, get their green thumb going. We're talking about, you know, the sun coming up. How much sun do we actually need with respect to gardening? How important is exposure, and what's the minimum?
For sure, yeah, it's super important. For things like greens, kale, lettuce, spinach, cilantro, you can grow in as little as 4 hours of sun, which is great, a little less than people assume. Roots, carrots, beets, about 6, and the hot stuff definitely want like 8+.
Awesome. So that's with respect to whether you're doing something on your windowsill, on your patio, or perhaps in a garden. And in this case, we're using something like raised beds. Now, to me, the greatest benefit is I can go on, man, I look super organized. This is where this goes, this is where this goes, but there's actually a functional purpose.
Yeah, that's right. So raised beds actually bring the soil up off the earth, which increases the soil temperature, and that increases the germination speed, so seeds germinate a lot faster. As well, water can drain through the soil a lot more easily, and it decreases the amount of pests. So slugs and snails are a little bit less likely to slime up the sides to get at your crops.
Now, we know that it's a little bit early to garden right now, but people can actually prepare right now for their raised beds, right?
That's right, and that's a really good point, that now's the perfect time to maybe dig some sod out or build your raised beds, fill them with soil, because then you can hit the ground running when it's actually time to plant around early March.
And, you know, it's important to where you place those beds. You can make, I guess, them as big as you want, but you do have to make them functional for usage, right?
Right, yeah, for sure. So when we build raised beds, we like them no wider than about 4 feet, so that on either side you can reach the middle, and we like the middle to be about 2 feet in.
So much great information, but if you can't think of the way you want to set it up yourself, that's what these guys do, Victory Gardens. Check out their website. We're going to take a little break here on Breakfast Television. We've got all your weather, traffic news, everything coming up next. Hey, thanks very much, guys. We are definitely getting ready for gardening, even though it's not officially gardening season. And of course, we're keeping things pretty basic. Maybe someone, Lisa and Sam, have decided that they want to grow their own food, eat what they grow this coming year. And so we're trying to prepare them for success, really. But, you know, we've talked about container gardening. We've talked about raised beds. If you have limited real estate, and we know that a lot of people do in Vancouver, where do we really want to invest our gardening time?
Right, yeah, that's a great question. It comes up a lot with some of the customers that we work with. I often use potatoes as an example. They take up a ton of real estate, they take a long time to mature, and they're pretty inexpensive at the farmer's market. So I always suggest to grow things that you eat a lot of, obviously, and the things that are quite expensive. So like greens, culinary herbs are a great way to use a small amount of space.
And a lot of people, too, would want to grow the things that they have a pretty sure, you know, feeling pretty confident they're not going to mess it up.
Yeah, good point. So arugula, kale, these are some pretty staple crops that don't take a ton of effort and yield pretty good results.
Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to talk seeds. And I made the assumption, and maybe wrongly so, that just because I plant it myself, that means that what I grow is going to be organic.
Wrong. Well, you can find a certified organic label on the seed packet.
Okay.
A lot of seeds are organically grown that don't say, but this just ensures that it's certified.
Does it matter where our seeds originate from?
Yes, definitely. I always recommend using a local seed source, just because the cultivars or varieties are ones that grow well in this climate, and also the seeds are acclimatized to our environment, so they've been grown for years in the same region.
And do seeds have a shelf life?
Yes. So on a seed packet, it'll say on the front when it's packed for. So this is packed for 2014. And typically, as a rule of thumb, seeds are viable for a few years.
Excellent. So much great information. And of course, we just really touched the surface, just barely broke into the ground. For more details on Victory Gardens, they got some great videos as well, Jody and Riaz, you can check out their website.